All right, the quarterfinals workouts just got released. We've got Pamela, we've got the Bergeners, and we've got K-Star. Gonna run you through some warm-ups, some technique stuff, things to think about. We're gonna go through each workout and tell you how we would do them, in what order, and then also give you some tips and tricks and things to think about when doing each event. Let's go. All right, so now we're gonna kind of talk through the order. We've talked a little bit. We may give you a little extra just thinking as we're going. Right now, looking at them, the order we have is, today is Thursday. So event 4, the clean, the bench press, the overhead squat. You have 30 minutes to do that. I think, 12-ish minutes, 10-ish minutes. Well, the clean's gonna take the least amount of setup, right? And if you fail, it's no big deal. So try to get that one done pretty quick. But you have 30 minutes to do that. We'll go into that in a minute, deeper into that. I don't want to get too lost in that. So you got event 4, event 2. That's what we're thinking for today. You're not a ton of interference with the clean, the overhead squat. You're good and warmed up for your pistols. You're ready to go. I think the big part of this workout is the interference between the GHD and the muscle up. So your core's not going to be too smoked going into this. If you start with the lifts first, the pistols, it's 90. Might fire your quads up a little bit for tomorrow, but not going to affect you as
one
much.
day, yeah. Obviously, you're going to have squatted with a clean and overhead squat, but it's not for reps. You'd be really warm for the pistols, like he was saying. So it's a different stimulus there. So we're thinking that's better than pushing the pistols a day 2, where you have a lot of wall balls as well. So day 1, 3 lifts, and then rest, recover as needed in between. But you're probably going to be warm enough where you don't have a huge chunk of time. You'll just warm up that GHD muscle up, make sure the pistol feels good. We'll give a ton of pre-workout for that with K-Star, mobility-wise. Roll into that, and Thursday should be good.
Differing opinion on that. If you want to go event 1, the dumbbell walking lunge, it's not a ton of lunging, so it's not going to blow you up a ton for tomorrow. So if you feel more comfortable hitting event 1, getting the lunges out of the way. I don't really have a strong opinion either way on this, because the handstand push-ups aren't a ton of volume. To where that'll affect the muscle ups tomorrow. So this is really kind of dealer's choice, whichever one you want to go with.
The only reason event 1, if handstand push-ups is a huge weakness, event 1 maybe right after, that way your shoulders are more fresh compared to having done the muscle ups. Not a big deal, but this does matter if it's very personalized for you. That'd be the reason to go event 1 on day 1. If I guess lunges are a big weakness, more likely the handstand push-ups. Otherwise, we're going to recommend event 2 to be done on Thursday, right after the lift.
Yeah, looking at either one of those, I don't feel too strongly which one needs to go first. It's all really kind of personal preference. But those 2 need to get done. I definitely think you should do event 4 first, though. You've probably tapered a couple days. You're probably the most fresh today. So that's probably your best option. Once you get through 2 and 3, or 1 and 2, sorry, we've already got 4 off the board. That's something you could revisit on Saturday if you really felt like, hey.
Actually, Sunday. I think Sunday. It's on Sunday at 2.
Okay, to do a 4 and 5?
Oh, you're right.
Saturday has to be.
Dang it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, Saturday afternoon right before deadline, depending on how your body feels, you could try to hit 4 again. But we're going to skip down. So we're on event 3. We need to get event 3 done tomorrow. Probably that's going to be your event 3 day or time. So we've gone 4, 2, 1, and then now we're on 3. Like we said, 2 and 1 can be interchanged. Need to get 3 done now. Yeah, you've done some lunging, you've done some pistols. It's not a ton of wall balls though. The largest set is
128.
Yes,
and 32 is not that. That's not that crazy.
That's not that bad. So
I think it's going to turn into a shuttle run workout.
How well you can stay low, I think, and just kind of keep maintaining instead of getting straight upright, which we will talk about in a little bit. I don't know where Scott's going to put this, but I would assume that each event will be in there later. Rope climbs, it's not a ton of volume. Be smooth on those. It is a pretty good chunk, 10, 14, 16.
But it helps because 4 is the biggest set, so it's not like.
Yeah, you can just keep moving on that.
Yeah, so we're at event. We got the lifts, event 4.
Yep.
We're doing that on Thursday. We're gonna go probably event 2 on Thursday as well. We're gonna wake up Friday morning, hit event 1, gotta get that in, and then Friday afternoon, what we're just talking about, we're gonna knock out event 3, the wall ball, run, rope climb.
And then obviously event 5 is left over. If you really wanted to hit that Saturday night, you could and be done for the weekend, but you might as well. Kind of depends.
You can actually Saturday morning in this scenario.
Yeah, I would save. Event 5 isn't. There's no press to get it done.
True.
If you want to get it done Saturday afternoon before soreness or anything sets in, you can go for it. If not, I'd wait till Sunday morning, and that one's gonna be your most high intensity one. It's not gonna make you super sore. So yeah, if you would wanna do that, you might be able to hit that one twice. But that one's gonna need some intensity, so
yeah,
think about
super high power output intensity. You need to be as fresh as you can, considering after all the events, but don't feel like you squeeze that one in. You got time on that one to get it in.
Yep, for sure. Like I said, that's just kind of our ideas. If you want to give us differing opinions, let us know in the comments. Event 1 is 50 dumbbell walking lunge steps, 50 for the men, 50 pounds for the men, 35 for the ladies. At farmer's hold, I guess, whatever you want to call that. 30 kipping handstand push-ups, 40 steps, front rack walking lunge with the dumbbells, 20 deficit handstand push-ups, 3.5 inches for the males and 2 inches for the females, 30 overhead walking lunge steps, and 10 strict handstand push-ups.
What's going on, Mayhem? Individual quarterfinal 1. Lots of putting our arms over our head, having our arms over our head, and lots of challenge in this anterior line. And that's what's gonna get smoked. So we've got kind of 3 things we're gonna focus on to make this a little easier. Number 1, prep your triceps. Prep your push. If I was watching people work out or warm up, we'd see a few handstands, we'd see people working up and touching the movements, but the piece that's not gonna get prepped is your drive. And it's at least 60 handstand push-up attempts. If you're doing it unbroken, you know who you are. But then also keeping the arms over the head. So we know that the triceps are gonna get cooked and are gonna be a limiter in terms of being able to be that quick work. So if I can get on the assault bike, that will be my chief piece. And like long, cruisy 10-minute warm-up where I can just work on pushing and really get my triceps engorged with blood. I don't think you need to do lots of handstand push-up practice, but getting those things prepped. If you don't have an assault bike at home, I mean, I don't even know you, but even some band pushdowns so you feel like you get a pump in the triceps. That locking out mechanism, that elastic sensor mechanism will go a long ways towards, to smoking those, especially as we're into the strict rounds later on. We want to make sure that you've got the full access to that. Okay, so that's that. The 2 big ideas here is that when I've got my arms over my head or I'm in the front rack, I really am not gonna be able to lean forward very much in the lunge, which means I've gotta have space in the hip. That means if I am struggling with being able to keep the torso upright and be long through the lunge, that's gonna be the limiting factor and will really drive you to be in expensive positions. So what we're gonna do is twofold. 1, classic anterior band distraction, throw the band on, and then be comfortable here. And part of your warm-up sets is making sure that in this shape, you can get your torso upright, you're loading this line, you're playing with this, and you're feeling like even if I was kneeling, opening up the hip, coming into this position, so you're just touching the shape. I want you to have your butt on in some of these positions to remind your brain to be able to keep the torso upright so that you're not doing this banana back walk, which we're gonna see a ton of. So lunging, moving, playing around, just feeling like you've got this open. If you need a little couch stretch in there, just to keep the quads open, do so. Just make sure that you're pushing your butt, squeezing that glute, making sure you're breathing and just reminding your brain, hey, we're gonna be open here, we're gonna need all of this capacity. The second thing I'd play around with is, I love the double overhead, so we can start to mimic some of these positions that we're gonna be in, holding, which means I can sit into my lats and I can start to tie my upper body into my lower body. So I think the mistake is potentially not touching both of these shapes simultaneously. So what's nice is I can go thumbs back, holding those dumbbells in a stable position, and then squeezing the butt and starting to open up the whole anterior line. So I think if you can start to spend some time in this shape, by the time you actually have to keep the dumbbells here, you're gonna find that, wow, that's a lot easier in this position. But if you're struggling with overhead or you're struggling to have, your lunges are gonna be short and you're gonna end up doing little mini walking lunges. And we're gonna want you to be in a position where you can be powerful, but if shortness in the hip is gonna cause the arms to come down and that's gonna get super expensive. So my takeaways, prime that push. So your triceps are good to go, even tricep pump downs. Get a pump on. Give yourself plenty of time to get over that pump. But having those tissues engorged with blood will help a lot. Open up that hip, walking lunge kind of positions and shapes, so you feel like your quads are engorged with blood, ready to go. Again, I would be doing a long warm up on the assault bike, super cruisy, feeling comfortable, great way to prep for this workout. The shapes are similar. And then touch and see if you can put those two shapes together. The rest of it, guts and glory. We'll see you on the other side.
All right, guys, we're testing out our handstand push-up capacity. So remember, you may feel really good in the first round because kipping handstand push-ups are pretty much your jam. But if you go to 100%, then you will not have much left in the tank for the deficit and the strict. Remember, that front rack lunge and that overhead lunge is really going to fatigue your shoulders as well too. I want you to remember technique right from the beginning, which means pressing through the palm as you return back up and squeezing your glutes and keeping your rib down. The more stacked you are, the easier you move through space. So instead of doing that, we want to make sure we squeeze and press through our palm each rep, and you will fly through space a lot easier.
All right, so event 1, the dumbbell walking lunge, handstand push-up. For all of these, you can listen to our tips, but you might want to make sure and go by CrossFit standards and watch the complete video or read the standards because some of the stuff we might have missed or lost in translation here. But 10 steps at a time. We talked about, your traditional when you have to go to a distance, you almost reach out a little farther. This, I'd stay nice and compact.
Yeah, so like thinking almost vertical shin, vertical quad here.
Got
like
knee slightly in front of the ankle too.
Yeah, just a touch. That way you can really engage this glute, the one that's down, backside as well, and you're standing, and it shortens your range of motion, so it lets you step quicker. So get those done faster. Don't go so short that you feel uncomfortable, like here, anything crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a standard that like your heel has to be in front of your leg. We haven't really scoured.
Don't make the movement what it's not supposed to be, but don't do more work than you have to at the same time. So you can step through quickly with those. If you're going for distance, like we're saying, you do want to step longer. Here you don't. You want to knock out those steps quickly.
If lunges are your thing, do the step through on the lunge, unless you have to come up and touch feet. It's way faster. I don't know if there is a standard that your feet have to. Like I said, we're doing these a little early, so we'll find out real quick. You might have to stand all the way up. We'll see.
I'm sure you're going to pass through full extension, which you would want to do.
Yeah. We're basing this on the leaked videos. We'll go ahead and say that.
Let's just be real.
We don't have the standards yet. So we're trying to get this to you guys as quick as we can. We've watched the videos, but like I said, there's going to be some standards that we missed because they weren't out yet.
Either way, the first 50, that's farmer's carry. That's going to be fast.
You want to get through those probably as quick as you can because it will tax your grip a little bit. The rest of the workout isn't a ton of grip though. So.
No, I mean, you can hook grip them, hook grip everything. 10, so you got 5 trips, 10 down and back there. Then we're on to the handstand push-ups.
Handstand push-ups, kipping. Pamela, obviously, you've already watched her talk through handstand push-ups, so we won't get crazy into that.
I think the only thing is, if you're not great at handstand push-ups,
break sooner than you think you need to.
3 sets of 10.
Do not go to failure.
8, 8, 7, 7, something like that. It's going to set in on the deficit, and then that's only 10 strictly in. That's really not crazy. If you're doing Mayhem Athlete, you're more than ready for the handstand push-ups.
You'll be just fine.
More than ready.
The front rack, if it's the old standard, which we think it is, you just have to have fingertips or be touching the metal of the dumbbells. You can let them rest here. I don't have the flexibility to just let them rest here. It feels like it's literally sawing my collarbone every step. So I like to stand them upright, clean them up, stand them upright, let them rest against themselves, and kind of press into them. Try to keep my fingers basically just holding them there, not a tight grip here, letting them kind of rest here.
Doing the least amount of work as you can.
For me, that's way easier. I do not think you should be doing this one. That to me is a true front rack dumbbell walking lunge. This is more of a back rack. It's always easier when something's back rack. But like I said,
practice
make sure you watch
a little bit because if you can get the balance right and a technical standard, then
it's
you're
resting
fly
on my
through it.
It's resting on my head right now. I'm not even using my hands. So you just kind of let it go here and go there.
Yeah. we're back there. Now we're back to deficit again. Same idea as the regular. If you've graded these, you could bang out all 20 if you're a real ninja. If not, don't go to failure, but you can start to press and to be a little more aggressive. 2 sets of 10, 7, 7, 6 for the 20 there. And that's going to go by fast. Then you're at the 30 overhead walking lunges, finishing up. You're going to show them what?
Yeah, so you probably I would just snatch them straight up. Something to think about if you can let a little bit of that weight rest. I doubt they'll let you be pressing up just on the dumbbell, but who knows? If you can rest on your forearm, that might be your easiest way. Or you're just keeping those dumbbells kind of at your hands on the rubber part, and you're just pressing up. Yeah, there's nothing real. There's no, either you got these or you don't. That's going to be the hardest part of the workout. It is only 30 steps. Do not go to where you're, failing, because you're going to have to do 10 strict handstand push-ups after this.
Opening up your thoracic can be huge. Look what K-Star says there, because so much overhead work in this beginning one. So being in a good position for those overhead lunges, and then the rest of handstand push-ups will add up, making your shoulders really warm going into it. So keep that in mind. The last 10 strict, at that point, your shoulders may be fatigued, but depends on where you are. Pressing capacity, that's the point where if you're on the red line,
there's not a ton of speed in this. This is more of just kind of what you got left in the tank there at the end.
If you're unsure about the last 3 reps, you can go for it there, because if you have to take a shakedown, you can probably take a few seconds, come back up, bang out the last 2 or 3.
On the 30, it says kipping, but if you're good at strict, I would probably knock out a larger set of strict for me. That's way better. I'm faster at strict. And
you did that last year, the first quarterfinals, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people did.
Yep.
Yep. And then kept the deficit and then strict the end.
Yep. So that, for me, that's probably the way I would go. Like I said, I'm way faster. Even if I get to 20 strict and then go 10 kipping on the last, just to save my shoulders a little bit. But
yep.
Event 2 is 3 rounds for time, 30 pistols, 30 GHDs, and 10 ring muscle-ups.
What's going on, Mayhem people? Workout number 2, the pinch points for me come down to making sure that I have access to hip compression. And I don't mean squatting, I mean, can I bring my knee to my chest without it having to be outside? So do I have full flexion in this position and able to work that shape? That's gonna really make those pistols easier. Then I'm basically in the same shape for when I do my glute hams. So I want to prime that flexion activity. Look, the bottom line is 90 of those things is going to smoke your quads. Keeping the leg up is going to smoke your quads. We know what the trap is here. And then, of course, muscle ups, because you're muscle upping. So we've got the compression of being able to bring the knee to the chest more effectively, or hip to knee. And then the secondarily is just a couple ideas of making sure that I'm easily through transition and can end up in a good receiving position, so I don't have to struggle as I get a little tired. I want to be able to have a little bit better access to a cleaner transition during my pull, and that I can catch low if I'm fatigued and get out of that dip. So number 1 is I would spend a lot of time in that compression position. I would step into a band and make sure that I was doing pistol-like things with my knee pretty close to my chest. So what this is gonna do here is I could even start with my feet close and then get them closer together so that I can feel like I can get my knees comfortable into this position. So what's now is happening is that I'm gonna start to be in this shape of what it looks like to be in a pistol position, except I'm able to get my hips through a lot because of the band. So work on sort of making sure you're super comfortable in this position, and you can stick one leg out. But I would say the magic here is not doing the pistols. The magic here is spending time working on the end ranges and making it easier to be able to hit that shape. That compression shape will go a long way. Then, how am I gonna prep that hip flexion? If I'm having a hard time bringing my chest to my knees, or I'm losing some hip flexion in that position, then it's gonna be more and more expensive through the back, and I'm gonna have to work harder instead of just hinging up. So I'm just gonna deconstruct that position, one leg in, turn it around backwards, And now I can work in 2 positions. Here's my pistol, just working on getting knee to the chest with some lateral, some kind of distraction at the back. This is gonna help. But then I'm gonna go long here and make sure that I've got the room in the hamstrings, and I can work on bringing this knee to the chest so that I can get this comfortable, more comfortable about in that kind of hinge as I'm coming up through the glute ham. So look, here, just playing around with this shape, making sure I own that total end range flexion so it's effortless. Come into a long lever position and then just work on opening up that hamstring glute so that you have the flexion mechanic and you've got the range through the soft tissues to be able to let that thing work. So that will make a difference in how effortless it is to finish that motion. Second, just quick prep. You know how to do muscle ups. 2 shapes. One, I would start on the elbow, band high. I'm just gonna walk that out. This is an easy way to work on some internal rotation. And the band is pulling here. No big deal, super simple. I just contract and relax. I'm just making it so it's easier to bring my hand here. And then the second piece is I might do a punch bully here, where I'm just letting that hand come back. I always feel like for me, this is the easiest way of making sure that I have access to my dip. It opens up this lateral chest wall. And again, all I did is same setup, move the hand here, let the shoulder come back, a little bit of rotation, push, come back, try to breathe into the space, a minute or so of activation, and you'll find that you're like, oh, that's a little more effortless, and that's a little bit more effortless. So that's gonna take some of the resistance out. General body prep rules go here, but if you can get your compression a little bit easier, make it easier to turn that, it's like taking the brakes off so your quads can do the work, and then they'll still have something to do those pistols, and then surviving that by making the technique easier. I think that's gonna be the success for me, pinch points on being more successful. Good luck.
Mash up pistol squats, GHD sit-ups, and ring muscle-ups. For the pistol squats, I want you to try and find a rhythm, and you're gonna keep your weight over that main foot so it looks like this. And also at the bottom, see if you can bounce a little bit off the bottom, which looks like this. I'm driving my foot through the ground on as I come up. So I fire up really fast and I don't spend a lot of time at the bottom. You gotta go through those pistol squats fairly quickly to get to those GHD sit-ups. I want you on the GHD sit-up to use your hip flexors more than your core, because you're going to need your core for those ring muscle-ups, which means you're gonna head down with a soft knee, and then you're gonna drive up by straightening your knee. That will fire up your hip flexors a little bit more and save your core for the ring muscle-ups. The ring muscle-ups, you are gonna be doing 30 total. So make sure you know your capacity for ring muscle-ups. For those top athletes, you're going to have to really work pretty hard on being efficient and really tight as you swing through the bottom so you get really good tension when you go through the skill. Always think about pulling the rings down to you. That will keep them more static, because the more dynamic they are, the harder it is to move your body through space.
All right, event 2, 3 rounds. This is not to scale, so chill out. 3 rounds, 30 pistols, 30 GHDs, 10 muscle-ups. So
Please comment. Please comment.
That GHD is not 10 feet from the rings. That's not fair. We're just showing you. Pistols suck.
Love them.
I'm sure Pamela
Good for me.
has already told you some really good things. I don't have anything good. Just hang on. Do what you got.
Find a good rhythm.
I
Be
do
smooth.
pistols once a year, every time it shows up in quarterfinals or the open. That's the only time I ever do pistols. So, and today, my good leg tweaked my ankle, so I will not be showing you a pistol. And then my bad leg, my knee, I'd have to warm up for 3 hours before I do one. So we're not going to show you pistols. Pamela's already showed you that. Just, keep your balance. Try to keep
Everything
that.
K-Star says too. Ankles, hips, you get those warm. It's a game changer for pistols. Oh, wear your Ollie lifters if you want to in this
Really?
one.
I would not.
Or reverse lifts, really?
I don't like Ollie lifters.
Oh, I love them. Yeah. Like, get that heel up, baby. We're going to rock them pistols. That's what I do all day. Verse lifts, Ollies. I recommend it. if your
Triple knee
mobility
sleeve?
sucks. Yeah,
Triple knee sleeve?
100%. Yeah.
3 mil, 5 mil, 7 mil? All
Right for this
available at
event for too.
roguefitness.com.
Yeah. All of them.
Cool.
3.0.
So we're gonna start off with pistols, obviously, back and forth. Try not to miss any reps here. It's pretty costly. If you miss one leg, you have to do, when you go to the other leg immediately, you're gonna have to actually, that one's not gonna count.
Feel like a rhythm.
So just be smooth here. You can be fast, but be smooth. On the GHD, there's a lot of different ways to set it up. I personally like my foot pad a little farther away. I'm not doing the kind of cheater one here where my legs are bent, but I'm sitting at the top here using those hips. But it is, if I'm a little bit more forward, I have less of my body to GHD up or pull up.
Give leverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so back here, and then you're just firing. You will, the GHDs will affect your muscle ups. So
I'll show that bit. He goes literally all the way back here.
All the way back here.
And then what do you think about on you and this one workout too? Are you thinking more like quad drive on the GHD, or are you going all hip closing?
All hip, yeah. It's just the way we do GHDs. It's less quad for me in this, more forward position. Like I said, there is the standard. I'm pretty sure that your knees can't be bent. I don't know how it works. So, like I said, the standards on this, but you will see some people that just kind of almost do an ab mat sit up here.
Bailey, sorry,
Yeah.
can't help it.
Yeah. So I'm pretty
fast.
sure it'll say your hips have to be on the top of the pad, but
Likely, yes.
if it's the same standard as last year, there's no getting around it. GHDs will affect the muscle ups.
Yep.
It is what it is. So just be smart on those sets of muscle ups. Do not go to failure. Do not, if you feel like you're going to start to fail a muscle up in one of the earlier rounds, maybe back it down and break it up more than you think, because muscle ups, once they're going, they're going.
Yeah.
And then same with the GHD. So maybe instead of, I would move smooth through the first 2 sets probably, and if I feel like I've got a little bit at the last round, push that GHD pace, but I would not try to burn out in the beginning, because
it's going to add up.
once they go, they go.
It's fast.
It's like toes to bar.
Unless you're best in the world these, if on the last set you're worried about having to break up a lot, go ahead and break up the first set. It's not going to matter if you use 2 seconds to catch your breath here, you drop down and muscle up one more time, and then at the end you're hanging on to bigger sets. So don't panic if you got to break early. You can still go fast relative on this workout.
Yeah, and I feel better kind of on the GHD, just keep moving and keeping a pace, where if you stop on the GHDs, it's hard to get back going. So just think about
Slow
that.
down your cycle
Slow
rate
down your
versus
cycle
going
rate
fast and
versus,
breaking.
versus
Yeah.
stopping. It's always easier to do that. So there's no real tips or tricks on this one a ton. It's just, don't let those GHDs affect you too much for the muscle ups. Once again, if you've been doing Mayhem Athlete, you're pretty well prepared for this, because that GHD muscle up, just the GHD muscle up, sorry about the pistols, we don't do those a ton, but the GHD muscle up shows up
Quite often.
That's probably one of our most showed up workouts, GHD muscle up. So good luck, and that's event 2.
Get it.
Event 3 is 8, 16, 24, 32, 24, 16, and 8 wall balls with 4, 8, 12, 16, 12, 8, and 4 shuttle runs of 25 feet with 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1 rope climbs.
What's up, Mayhem family? Workout number 3. Look, I'm just gonna be straight up. Wall balls are gimme. It's mid-range. You don't even need to have full range of motion for wall. That's so easy. Just prep yourself aerobically for that. Be prepared, right, for those 100+ wall balls. The 2 places I think are really interesting for me, one is this rope climb. So rotation grip. Believe it or not, ski erg is gonna be a wonderful place to warm this up. I would do a 10-minute super cruisy piece here. That's just gonna make it very easy to practice pulling with the elbow down. So if this is your ski erg, that's gonna make it really difficult for you to wanna do rope climbing in this position. But grabbing that thing and working on the rotation so that you're priming that pull is gonna make a difference. And that'll get lats going and things really working, especially since that's such an aerobic pull and we're so efficient at it. But I would definitely be priming that piece. And the other thing is this rotation grip. As I fatigue, and look, we know that it's not much, we got our legs here, but I would wanna make sure that I've got access to this rotation overhead, and I've got access to this mid-range rotation. And a simple way to do that is our rotation primer. So just grab this band, give yourself some slack, and then just work on making sure that you have access to your rotation overhead. as wall balls hook our arms, it's gonna be less fun to pull. That's gonna be a more tricky combo than people think. So again, even if I was straight out in front of me, this position is long lever in this front rack. So feeling like I can pull effectively and have this rotation is gonna make a difference. So not only am I overhead, thumb comes underneath, and I just work on getting this armpit to access forward. Again, like 20 to 30, feeling like you just get a pump a little bit, and then out in front, doing the same thing. Just priming this a little bit, getting this rotation set, having a friend come over and helping me just access that. You'll feel like you are super gripping. The second part here is calves. And this shuttle run, of course, is you haven't done this for a minute. And part of the magic of shuttle running is quick transitions and springiness. And not only do I think, of course, you're fit enough to just cruise to this, that won't be a problem. The issue will be the cost potential on your calves. So I would spend a lot of time jump roping. I would make sure that I've got those calves full of blood. And I do some traveling with that. So I would travel, I would go stiff, 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 long. Again, traveling with it. I'd also spend time in a split position, because as I come through, I'm gonna wanna push and do whatever I need to do. So split access to this shape will make a big difference. And again, just some jump roping casually in this split position will warm this up so that you feel like you have access here. Sprinting, it's not really a sprint. You're gonna see that it's about an acceleration and then deceleration. Anything that you can do to get this hip open. I would go for a little bit of a long cruisy run, or I do a minute on the ski erg, a little bit of running, but I'm really interested in getting this hip open. So if you wanted to, anything that looks like our general hip prep, where you're spending time with this hip in extension, will help and mediate the cost on the hip, or the cost on the calves rather. So again, takeaways from me, I think wall balls are just suffer, mid-range, not a big deal. The real issue is, can I optimize my rotation so that I can hook into that rope? I'm well warmed up from the ski erg, and then I've primed the crap out of my calves so I don't pull a calf during this, because it's gonna be exciting. Many of us like to run 400, we don't like to change direction. You'll rip this up, good luck.
All right, guys, we have a mashup of wall balls, shuttle run, and rope climbs. So the wall balls are gonna fatigue your shoulders, the shuttle run is gonna get your heart rate up, and then it's time to jump on the rope. So I want you to be very conscious of your breathing on the rope. This is a time that you can catch your breath. And I also want you to extend your arm in that reach position, that lead arm, as much as possible when you're ready to go for that next pull. This way you will maximize your height. Think about leaning to get your All right, guys, we have a mashup: wall balls, shuttle run, and then rope climbs. So the wall balls are gonna fatigue your shoulders, the shuttle run is going to get your heart rate up, and then it's time to jump on the rope. I want you to be very conscious of your breathing. This is a time you can actually catch your breath before you go back to the wall balls. So make sure you're breathing through the rope climbs. When you jump up for that first pull, I want you to get your knees as close to your chest as possible. That will get your feet close to your hands, which will maximize the first pull. When you're ready for the second pull, on that lead arm, make sure you extend your body and be as tall as possible instead of pulling from here. That last reach is really important before you bring your feet to your hands again. This will make you taller basically, so you have to work less and pull less, and you can finish that rope climb quicker.
Event 4, the CrossFit Total 2. It's one clean, one bench press, and one overhead squat.
Hey crew, it's number 4. So what are you gonna work out? What are you gonna warm up when you have to do more of everything, right? Everything is required in here. So a couple things. One is we've got 30 minutes to get this work block done, which I think is actually very reasonable, especially if you prime some of these things first. So that heavy clean, I love that. you know what you need to work on. If it's your receiving position, spend a little time grooving that receiving position. Two things that I would suggest globally: do the TRS shoulder spin up and TRS hip spin up. Just touch those things. Those are global positions where you're going to spend a little bit of time at end range. You're going to get things prepped and primed and ready. Then you can do your specific training, getting underneath the barbell and underway. What I would say is the mistake is that because we don't do a lot of benching in this sport of CrossFit per se, the mistake is that people will not warm this movement up enough. So if you're not good with it and grooving it, just make sure that you're feeling like you've got a pump on before you do that. And again, that could be tricep push downs, that can even just be some like slingshot, or you use a hip circle. Just get a pump on. You've got plenty of time, and I would have that pump done before I officially start the clock. In fact, you might actually feel like your shoulders were a little bit more connected in there. I wouldn't be afraid to spend a lot of time under the barbell grooving the sets. That's gonna make a big difference for hitting that bench. And the good news is about hitting the bench and being prepped is that it's gonna make it so that your triceps and lockout are rock solid. But what I'm gonna say is the magic for me in this overhead squat piece, which I think is gonna be sneaky, just if you haven't done a true Olympic lifting total in a minute, where you have to, snatch and clean and jerk, this could be shocking, especially in that order. So I would spend a ton of time in the bottom shape. And I just want to give you a couple of different ideas. One is the Bergner warm-up is fantastic, but take the Bergner warm-up and do the Bergner warm-up from the bottom position of your squat. So even if you need to come up on your toes, because you're gonna have Olympic lifting shoes, and shove your heels down, whatever shape you can get in, and then just play with some of that rotation here. The more comfortable you are in this bottom position, the better off. The other thing you can do is actually do the whole Bergner warm-up with a light dumbbell and pulling and feeling comfortable. But look what I've done. I've taken the load out. So I can actually load this ankle and this hip, and I just put myself into a little mini squat here. Even pressing in this position will help me feel like, and even crossing will help me feel more prepared to be open. You're gonna get a pump after that bench, which is gonna internally rotate you. So spend a second pressing the bar, just re-grooving that pattern. But even just doing some work from this weird split stance position will make a difference. Obviously, this one is technical in nature. You'll only be rewarded by having access to your positions and being appropriately pumped. Remember, Bergner often said that some of his athletes would have their best lifting events at the end of a session where they're doing something on the minute, or like they would PR after lots of volume. So I think the mistake emotionally will be, I need to save my energy. It's much better to come in here really warm and then just use that warm as you move into the next sets. Make sense? Whatever Sage, whatever Mike say goes, that's gonna help your Olympic lifting here. But again, more warm-up sets than you think you need. You got 30 minutes, which is a ton of time. 10 minutes to find a heavy single, that's no problem, especially since you know where you are. But definitely the last one I think is gonna be where we start to see the differences really go, because if you can hold on to your shapes as you're fatiguing, that'll go the distance. So hold on to your shapes, people. Good luck.
All right, Mayhem fam, we have a super fun workout here with a 1 rep max clean, 1 rep max bench press, and a 1 rep max overhead squat. That is a CrossFit total that I can get behind. So I'm gonna talk about the clean and the overhead squats and some focal points that I want you guys to work on, and a good warm up to kind of prep and prime you for those movements. First of all, we have a 30-minute time cap to complete this total. This is a really good opportunity to use it EMOM style here, kind of saving your time frame a little bit for the heavier reps and going a little bit quicker on the lighter reps, just to sort of get your movement patterns flowing. For the clean, we want to make sure that we really focus on getting those elbows around as fast as possible and making sure that we're meeting that barbell where it is in space so that we can utilize all of that momentum when we're coming out of the bottom of that squat. If we allow that barbell to come and crash on us because we have either slow elbows or because we're not pulling ourselves underneath the barbell, the bar is gonna end up burying us in the bottom. So a really good warm-up that you guys can do is a muscle clean plus tall clean complex. So on that muscle clean, you guys are really gonna work on dipping, driving, keeping that barbell close, and getting those elbows around all the way as quick as possible. Make sure you release that hook grip and you continue pulling on that barbell till it's all the way up into your throat and having fast hands as you're whipping those elbows around. Then to really work on that pull under and meeting that barbell in space, you guys are gonna do some tall cleans where you're up on the toes, you're as extended as possible, your shoulders are down, and you're going to shrug around and meet that barbell at different heights, getting progressively lower as you go. Again, working on pulling your body to that barbell, not allowing the bar to come and crash on you. For your overhead squat, remember, we have to jerk that barbell up over our head first. Sometimes when we get into a 1 rep max overhead squat, we're so focused on the overhead squat that we tend to get a little bit lazy getting the barbell overhead. So make sure that you guys are really aggressive with your dip and drive, and make sure you're very aggressive with punching your arms straight overhead and locking that barbell into a nice strong position overhead. Whenever I'm doing a 1 rep max overhead squat, the only thing I'm focusing on is trying to keep that bar in as straight of a line as possible as I descend down and as I stand up. So I have to make sure that my torso is nice and upright as I am doing this. My torso is upright, the bar stacked nice and strong overhead, and I'm visualizing kind of a line tracking along the side of me, and I'm keeping the end of that bar in line with that line as I descend and as I stand. It's really easy for the bar to kind of get a little shaky overhead, so make sure that you stay in control of the bar and don't let that barbell control you. When you're warming up for this movement, you're gonna do some snatch push press. Okay, so get your good snatch grip. Some people like to go a little bit narrower with the heavy overhead squat if they have the mobility. Totally up to you, but work on those good movement patterns of dipping and driving. Practice punching yourself down. If you're planning on split jerking overhead, try to find which method works best for you. And then when you're practicing and warming up those overhead squats, I want you guys going down into nice, deep, full range of motion overhead squats to prepare your body for any sort of depth it's going to be hitting with that heaviest load. Good luck, you guys. Let me know how you do.
All right, event 4, the other total. It's clean bench press overhead squat. Coach Sage, I guess, had kind of talked through the clean and the overhead squat a bunch. We brought our resident, strongest person in the room, probably strongest person I know, to talk bench press as well. Clean, we know how to clean. I guess the good part for a lot of people is there's no jerk in it. So a lot of people probably power clean a little bit more than they squat clean. It's as weird as that. Are you that way?
I am.
You're
Yeah,
that
for
way.
sure.
Yeah. So I don't think, does it specify squat clean or anything like that? We don't think, but clean, do what you got to do. I think they have to be in order. So think about this. You got a 30-minute time limit. I feel like you want to spend the least amount of time on your clean, get good and warmed up, almost to where you can hit your clean as soon as your time starts. Your bench press is going to take probably a good chunk of your time, and the overhead squat's going to take the most. So you want as much time. I would, like I said, have your clean almost ready to go when you start that clock, so you can hit it within 1 or 2 and then move on right on to bench press.
Yep.
Sage just talked through kind of what you want to do on your clean and all that stuff. So we'll move on to bench, I guess, from here. So we're going to put way lighter than what old D-Rob's 1 rep max is, but we'll let him talk through kind of what you want to think about bench. Spotter, I'm sure that you got to have a spotter. I just don't know if your spotter can help you on a lift off.
Yeah.
So
the 2 most common things you're going to see most novice benchers struggle with is keeping their feet calm. A lot of guys or girls are going to get down, their feet going to be moving, and you're going to lose a lot of tension. The second thing you want to do is think about driving your shoulder blades into the bench. A lot of people will just lay flat and kind of be chicken winged. What you want to do is get your shoulder blades set. Think about pulling the bar apart. And as far as setup of the rack, you don't want to lose tension when you come off. So a lot of guys will get in here tight, everything's good, and then when they go to take it off, they flatten out and lose all that tension. So if you're on the right post, what?
I do that.
You do that? So if you got it on the right setting on your rig, when you get screwed in, I can take that off. There's just enough clearance, or I can drive. So we want to keep our feet from moving around, drive our shoulder blades in, activate the lats, and you think about keeping your elbows in, you can almost drive your triceps off your lats and get a few more pounds.
Yeah, push, press, you know, like don't take a ton of reps here, I feel like, because
No.
that overhead squat will be affected by the number of presses you take here. So that's something to think about.
Well, and it's something too, the athlete needs to know themselves, right? Like I'm gonna bench a hell of a lot more than I'm gonna overhead squat. So I'm gonna put a lot of focus on this portion of other total and not really care about how that's gonna affect my overhead squat, because I know if I'm gonna bench 440 here, I really don't care what my overhead squat is. I'm gonna make that up here.
Is that what you would bench on this?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so from there, we're gonna bring it up. We won't worry about it. Overhead squat, just make sure you're catching it. You're gonna wanna back rack it, or jerk, rack jerk, whatever you wanna call it, from the back. Have your hands set up wherever you're gonna have them set up so you're not messing with that. Overhead, get your overhead position good and locked in and hit an overhead squat. Be careful bringing that thing back down on your neck. Drop it down, let it go. Once you get to your higher percentages, I'd rather see you drop it, strip it real quick, depending on how much time you have. But if overhead squat's where you're gonna make up your money, like we're talking, leave yourself a pretty good amount of time. I'd be careful, like I said, with that racking it back on your neck. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, be a safe distance away from the rack as well. Done that a couple times where you think, oh, I'm gonna lose this and try to throw it in the rack. Don't do that, it's not smart. What else? Jake, we miss anything else on the overhead squat? Like I said, Sage is gonna talk a bunch about this, I'm sure, before. There's not a ton to think about. Like Derek said though, prioritize which movements, look at the workout, which movements you think you can make up the most amount of time. Like if you're gonna get 5 or 10 more pounds on a bench with one more lift, versus if you feel like you can get 20 or 30 more pounds on the overhead squat, go for the overhead squat, vice versa. You know, if you know bench is where you're gonna make up a ton of weight, if you can bench 150 pounds more than anybody else, then, you know, you're not gonna make that up on an overhead squat.
I mean, you and I competing against each other in this event would be a perfect example. Cleans are probably gonna be
Close-ish, yeah.
close-ish. I'm gonna bench a lot more, but you're gonna crush me on overhead squat just based on mobility concerns with me. So I know that this is my bread and butter for this event, and the overhead squat would be Rich's.
A lot of time overhead squat.
A lot of time overhead squat.
So
Yeah, I mean, like Rich said with the clean, I mean, you're basically have built up to that 90% plus in your warm up. Clock starts, you can go out and hit 1 or 2 lifts and be done with clean.
Yeah, like Jake just said, maybe 5 minutes on your clean. The bench can be done relatively quick, might be a little bit longer. We said 5, we said 5 and 20 minutes for an overhead squat. Somebody like Derek might be 5 for the clean, 10 or 15 for the bench maybe. And then, because you can almost have your bench warmed up as well
You can have
from
your
the
bench
clean.
warmed up. I mean, I bench at least once a week. I would probably go 135, 225, 315, 350, 385, and then go for a max. So I would move through that pretty quick.
Base 440, your percentage off of that when you're warming up. Yeah, 5 or
Yeah.
6 lifts, something like
Yeah.
that. But you could be doing that while you're warming up your clean. It's not
Yeah.
going to interfere with each other. So when you're ready, you can hit the bench. It leaves you a lot of time for the overhead squat. Event 5 is 30 cal row, 20 burpee box jump overs, and 10 snatches at 185 for the men and 135 for the ladies.
All right, for the burpee box jump over, we want to be as efficient as possible, which means staying low and turning as you jump. This way we are ready for the next rep. So I'm going to step up, I'm going to turn, and now I'm facing the right direction to just drop and do the burpee. I want to stay as low as possible on the box and try and get that back foot as close to the edge so it's ready to just slide off. I also will alternate stepping up with my right leg on this side and my left leg on that side.
All right, you guys, this workout is gonna be a doozy. It is a full-blown sprint. So we have a row, we have our burpee box jump overs, and then we have our 10 power snatches that are fairly heavy. So you can pretty much guarantee that by the time you get to these power snatches, you're gonna be smoked. You're gonna be breathing hard and your legs are gonna be fried. Don't panic. Just know that you're not gonna be able to muscle these power snatches up over your head. So we're gonna have to make sure that we use efficiency and we use proper technique. Without fail, whenever I get tired in a CrossFit workout and it's time to lift heavy, there's 2 main cues that I work on. Number 1, keeping my chest up off of the ground. Because my legs are really tired, it's gonna be easy for that bar to pull me out of position right off of the floor. I gotta know that it's gonna feel heavy, so I have to make sure that I'm a really strong structure, lifting that bar and driving my feet into the ground so I can move that bar with purpose off of the floor. Don't let it feel heavy. It may feel heavy, but try not to make it feel heavy by letting it move really well off of the floor, moving it with some speed off of the floor. The second thing is making sure that you keep the bar as close to your body as possible. When our legs get really tired, we're not as motivated to jump. So sometimes our hips try to take over by driving themselves into the bar, and it's easy for that bar to start kicking out away from us. If we kick the bar away from us, we're losing that efficiency. So not only are we fatigued, but we're not elevating the barbell. So if that's happening to you, we can kind of mitigate that a little bit by really making sure that we're cranking our elbows high and outside and keeping the bar as close to our body as possible. All right, so you're focusing on keeping your chest up, moving the bar with purpose off the floor, and then making sure that we're keeping the bar, as my dad says, a gnat's ass away from the body. So a really good warm-up that you guys can do for these power snatches is practicing slow snatch tempo deadlifts off of the ground, taking about 10 seconds to get up into that power and high hang position. Once you do a couple of reps of those, really feeling your chest staying up, driving your feet into the ground, we're gonna work on a couple of muscle snatches, practicing those elbows coming high and outside, and then keeping that bar as close to the face as possible. From there, we're gonna work on our speed under the bar and our strong, crisp receiving position by doing some snatch drops, where all we're going to do is punch down into our receiving position, punch into our receiving position. If you're power snatching, if you're planning on power snatching it and not full snatching it, punch into your power position. Wherever you're planning on receiving that barbell, that's where I want you to punch to. Now, when you're warming up with this, I want you guys to try and build a little bit heavy In your snatch, build up to that weight that you're gonna be hitting in that workout, just so that there aren't any surprises. Practice in your warm-up, practice moving that bar as aggressively as possible, kind of building your confidence a little bit, knowing that it's gonna feel completely different when you get to the end of that workout, but you're gonna trust your movement patterns, you're gonna trust your speed, and you're gonna trust your technique. Good luck.
Can't remember what they said.
Event 5, 30 cal row, 20 burpee box jump overs, and 10 snatches at 185 and 135. All right, on the row. This is not set to scale. Once again, this is not set to scale. On the rower, we just talked about this. You can change your damper. I think it depends. I think if you're a big, strong person, yes, you want to go up a little higher on your damper because it's so short. 30 cals is what, 400 meters, if that, maybe? Depends. I guess really depends
Yeah,
on
it depends a lot.
how fast you're going. If your strength is in the row and the snatch, then yes, I think your damper should go up just a touch. If your burpees are going to be, you know, where you're going to make up your time because your speed on your burpees, maybe you go down a touch on your damper. You're going to have to do a little bit more higher stroke rate for a lower damper. So just things to think about. I think this is all personal preference and kind of where you're at on that.
Yeah, we got like about a 3-minute workout, right? So 30 cal.
30 cal.
Depends, guys versus girls, right?
Minute
girls gonna be a little longer.
Plus just a little over a minute
But we're
on
cranking.
the row.
So dudes gonna be like a minute 10, maybe close to a minute, some of them.
I'd love to see that. I want to see how they do their burpees after that. But yes, go ahead.
Let's say a minute 20.
Yeah.
That's fast.
That's fast.
You can go faster. Then you got 20 burpee box jump overs. That's about a minute, right?
It's fast, but yes.
They're going fast. So
Gotta go fast.
220, 230, and then 10
3
power
minutes
snatch.
is going to be a very good time, I think.
3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like world class. So let's say 3 to 4. But you got to go fast here, but it's all about balancing that with getting the power snatch and be able to move relatively quickly for you at the power snatch. Because if you blow up here, then you lose the workout in the power snatch. 10 power snatch, 185. Girls for sure at 135 is
You're going to
enough.
feel really good through 6 power snatches, but
Yeah. Those
7,
legs
8,
go,
9, 10, they're gone.
and you slow down there, you lose the workout. 10, 15, 20 seconds is a ton in this workout, so keep that in mind. You got to keep that 85, 90% effort intensity that you can sustain and finish through that power snatch. It's almost like 800-meter run, something like that. Like you're going fast, almost unsustainable.
Yeah, this is an 800-meter
Sustainable till
effort.
they're in.
This is an 800-meter effort.
Yeah.
Maybe
And then,
1,000, I guess, but
those last 2 to 3 power snatches where you just cut loose, and that's where you like feel almost out of control, but not till that back half power snatch. So, having said that, starting in a row, we're thinking 80, 90% effort, really probably close to 85, 90. Big, long, strong pulls here. When you come in, we want big leg drive throughout on these. Comfortable grip on the handles like we do. I rock forward to my toes, getting here.
move that chain as much as you can.
And then driving out with the legs. Not gonna hinge back with my hips until I'm almost full extension of my legs. Just finishing with the arms, as always. It's gonna be quick. You're gonna have a higher stroke rate. You're gonna be really jacked up at the beginning of this workout. So that means use the first 3 to 4 pulls. Like they're gonna be really big, strong, powerful. Settle into something sustainable. Don't blow up here. But you're controlled fast on this rower the whole way. In long, strong pulls, even more so than normal. Play with this damper. I usually go 5 to 6. Like Rich was saying, I'd probably go,
7,
I'm a longer athlete, 7, 8 for me. I'm not gonna go 10, it's not worth it. In my opinion, so I'm gonna be 7, 8 range on here because 30 cals is so short. So transition, I'll end this. I would lock them down all the way. It's worth
Lock
it.
them down. There's no transition
For sure.
there.
It's one time that, it's quick, I'm out, coming over, burpee box jump over. These, it's gonna be very athlete
Can you
again,
do it?
like a lot
Can
of
you
these
burpee box
workouts.
jump over? Show them.
Burpee.
Show them. Why are your
Fast thrust.
PJs are on inside out?
Burpees for me, I'm not as fit as everyone else. Also, I'm longer, stronger athlete, so I'm gonna do better here. So I would do, even for me, the step up quick, hop, step down here, just because I can't go fast enough for it to matter. Some of you guys, ninjas, stay low the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the hop over, I guess. I would probably still step, but it's almost that like hybrid step where it's here, and then I would stay low and be turning and do, I'm not going to do it right now because my ankle, stay low, hop off. You can step down, I guess. It really depends. These you can be fast
So you
on.
turn like that,
Yep.
and
I'm already turning in and doing a lateral jump.
yeah.
I'm probably, me personally, it's 20. I'm gonna spin.
Spinning's fine.
I'm gonna spin
totally
on
fine
this.
this workout.
You might get a little dizzy, but you're gonna be fine.
But even the
Get
hop
something to
up, like we talked about 22.2, it kind of applies here. Like that's what you just did is almost just as fast, the hop up.
Yep.
And there's so much time. There's enough time there that like, it's not just this and this, or you would be breakneck speed, but here you're fast, stay moving the whole time, spin. The only thing I'd say in the last 2 to 3 burpees, you might slow down your rate just a little bit, because don't fly through these. Have to come here, take 5, 6 breaths. It should be last 2, 3 burpees, slow down rate just a touch. So you come up here, if you chalk quick, that's it. And then you're getting down bracing to hit that first power snatch. Big spit.
Caveat to that, you might want to take a breath if you think you can do some touch and go.
Ooh.
10 is a stretch. It depends on
Someone will, but.
there might be somebody here. But
Yeah.
if you're not going to do touch and go, so here's plate selection makes a bit of a
For sure matters.
something to think about. High temps, bounce a little bit more.
Get the
a
dead
little bit of
stop.
bounce off of that. Competition plates, advertorial plates, they do give they're like your mid-range. Like you
Yeah.
may do a couple touch and go, but you may drop. That's a good plate selection. If you're going to drop every one, Rogue makes the echo plate. We call them the dead stop plates. But literally every time you drop it, the thing does not move. So,
If you're going singles, for sure echo.
Yeah.
If you're going 2, 3 start touch and go, then probably singles, the competition plates. If you're going all touch and go, high temps the whole way.
high temps the whole way.
What do you think if you personally, what would you do? Would you do maybe a couple touch and go, then quick singles?
I think for me, quick singles are faster, so I would go echo.
You really can't rest after a touch and go set if you're going to make the touch and go set worth
This is
it.
a good way to find a spot in your gym. Like we all have those spots in the gym that bounce a little bit better
Yeah.
on the floor and some that don't. So if you're going to be, this is where floor selection and all that stuff makes a big difference. So think about that. I know it's 10 reps, but 10 reps is a big deal and can make a big difference on touch and go and picking it up and dropping it.
Yeah, definitely. And this workout's so fast, usually it's not like, doesn't matter that much, but because of the short length, every second counts. So utilize all those little things in the workout. Sage will give you through some good tips on position and how you pull here. Don't completely fall apart, but at the end, just continue to get in a good position as much as you can because it's going to pay off and allow you to move quicker, even though it's still only 10.
If you've been following that What's Rich doing, then you got a lot of barbell cycling, so you should be good to go. Hey,
All right.
this also too, something to think about. I don't know if I would do this or not. I might test it out. I might use a short bar on this because I don't have to think about where my grip goes. With the short bar, it's literally the perfect, my snatch width.
Oh, for you.
And it does settle pretty well. So just something to think about.
Oh, I'm going Ollie bar for life.
You're
Give me the
going Ollie
whip.
bar, but
Give me the whip.
But look how wide you are. Like I said, I don't, instead of having to look down where my hands go,
So you just grip and go.
grip and go. So that's just something to think about. You know, there is way less whip. It is a little bit harder. So I probably wouldn't do it, but it might, in my head, I might start to think about that.
You just wish everyone had used short bar. And then it would.
Exactly. So, yeah, and this might be one where, you know, most of the time we're setting up, making sure our hand's in an equal place. Your hand may be off
Move
a half
fast.
inch or
That's
an inch
fine.
or something like that. As long as you're not falling apart, just grip and go. Good?
Yeah.
Event 5.
This is it. Boom. Run and gun.
Yeah.